Welcome everybody to another episode of the Optimize a Mother podcast. Today's episode is very special for two reasons. The first reason is we're on video. It's the first time, not just audio, so you'll be able to watch us in conversation. And the second reason is really the main reason. This episode is special because we have a very, very, very special guest. Her name is Mrs. Chaya Sofer, and she moved with her family from Israel a few years ago, and she's going to share a little bit about her journey of why she moved. And the truth is, this all started with an article that I saw about Chaya Sofer, and the title blew me away. The title was, in Mrs. Sofer's words, "Ani lo mavticha she'avri." I don't promise that I will heal, אבל אני מבטיחה שאשמח. I promise that I will be happy. And I was like, whoa, I need to speak to someone who has it so clear what's in her control and what's not. To have her whole life turned upside down and to choose happiness, that's a conversation I want to have. So, welcome. Chaya, can you fill us in a little bit? Bring us up to present, a little bit of what your story and your journey was and where we are today.
Okay. So my name is Chaya Sofer. I'm married and I have 3 beautiful daughters. I'm a midwife. And almost 5 years ago, I was diagnosed for the first time with cancer, breast cancer. I went through the process of treatments and healing eventually. And then I got sick again and it turned into metastatic. At a certain point, my cancer didn't react to regular treatments, and I had to move, pack up my family and move for a treatment that I couldn't get in Israel.
So you moved here, now your kids are...
We live here already almost 2 years. And yes, in the middle of the life, my life basically stopped at a certain point, and we had to deal with things in a different way and prioritize our life in a different way. And we found ourselves here in America trying to start over, basically.
Wow. So can you talk a little bit about that title of that article? This perspective that you have, that your life is turned upside down, you have a whole new trajectory than you ever planned, and you're making this decision that, you know what, no matter what's going on, I'm going to be happy. Like, how do you do that?
So first of all, it's a process. You don't just wake up in the morning and decide to look at the world in a different way. And throughout the past 2 years, I think I went through, and still going through, like a process of understanding myself better, and through that understanding like what the Aibishter wants from me right now. Because if before that I was a midwife and I was a busy person and I had a very active social life and I lived near a lot of family and friends, everything changed. And when you connect inside to yourself, you find the answers. Part of the process that I was going through, I was very, a lot of times because of treatment, I was a lot alone with myself and with my thoughts. And in my thoughts, I started to develop and think about life in a way that will lift me up, that will help me go through things that I'm going through. And a big part of it is realizing what I do have control over and what I don't. And because at the end of the day, the major things like where I live and how I will be doing or feeling or my prognosis or things like that, I don't have choice. That's not up to me. So I had to let loose of those things. And then when you let loose of the major big things, you realize where you could have control in your life And that is over your everyday feelings and your doings. Like, I have very little energy, but I could decide what to do with that energy. Because how much energy, that's not up to me. Like, so I can't really plan what I'm going to be doing tomorrow or going, but when I wake up in the morning and I have some energy, so maybe I could cook a little meal, which is amazing for me. And no matter what I do, I could choose to be happy. And, you know, a lot of people talk about happiness and choosing happiness. And one of the things that I say, happy is a feeling. So when you're talking about your feelings, you have to be really true with yourself and understand the variety of feelings that you have. You can't only say, okay, I'm happy, I'm not going to feel anything else. I'm happy, I'm put on a smile. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
You have to accept that you're also scared and you're also sad or maybe lonely. You have all the feelings. And then when you give place to every one of your feelings, then you could say, okay, I see all my feelings, they're all here, they're all part of me, but I choose to focus on this one. Because this one helps me with my life.
When I'm happy, then it's going to help me with all my challenges.
Right.
So the question is, can you help me a little bit more? Like, everybody here who's watching this has some sort of challenge in their life.
Yes.
Everybody has something in their struggle, whether it's with the children, with the marriage, with parnasa. So sometimes it feels like, you know, you mentioned what you have control over or not. Sometimes it feels like you have no control over your feelings also. So how do you choose that happiness? Is it a thought that you think? Like, is it a gratitude? What is it that you do that helps you put yourself and say, you know what, this is what Hashem wants from me right now. I'm going to be joyful.
So you know what, I think I got to a stage that I said to the Aibishter, like, it's like, it's not up to me. It's all in your hands. And that you know, helps with anxiety. Because when you know that it's not in your hands, you have nothing to be nervous about. Like, sometimes, like, people get, like, very nervous when I get scans done, like, every few months and things like that. I'm like, so at the beginning, I also used to get nervous because then what will the answer be, and will I have to change my treatment, and how, you know, it has a lot of meanings. And then at a certain point, I was like, does it really matter? I'm in the Aibishter's hands no matter what.
Wow.
So if I'm in his hand, a miracle he could do anyways. And you know what? You know, so I'm like, the Aibishter, I'm yours. And you'll do anyways whatever you want. And then you don't have that burden that what I'm gonna do, because it's like, it's on him. It's the Aibishter. He's gonna decide what's gonna be.
Let him worry.
Let him worry.
Let him be anxious.
I'll just work on exactly. So when you don't have the anxiety is a very big part of, you know, sadness, and you know, it's a very hard part of life. But if you don't have that, and you're like, you have the bitachon, and you like throw it to the Aibishter, because, you know, we know it's in his hand. We just think that we have control, which is a mistake. You know,
Right.
it's a big mistake.
So it's just like letting go of our like illusion of control.
Right. And then when you let control, so you can gain control back in the small things, and which are much more important in my eyes. Like, to wake up with a smile, I think it's more important than everything. And to wake up and say, I feel good, thank you, Hashem, and really feel that, because I'm not thinking about tomorrow, because that's the Aibishter. Let him think about my tomorrow. Today, now, I'm good, thank you.
Wow.
And that's the way you can be happy.
Right. I like even the physical movement of it, like the way you did it. I'm throwing it away. So I'm also curious about, you know, you have older girls, and I'm sure, you know, you've had conversations. Like, how do you, on the one hand, have this bitachon and at the same time like cope with like not not wanting to be disappointed or just not being afraid? Like, what are some coping mechanisms in conversations or day-to-day life that you use?
So we have a lot of humor, black humor in the family. We love it. We love to laugh about cancer. And what's going to be and what's not going to be, and we make a joke about everything, basically.
So you're just trying to uplift and
right.
Like, this is the situation, we may as well laugh.
Right, exactly.
This is the situation.
So that's what we do a lot. And I'm very open with my kids. And we do talk about the present and about the possibilities of what's going to happen. Because if they need to talk about it, I really believe that not talking makes it look worse. Not that it could be much worse by me, so much worse, but yeah. But it's worse than you don't talk. When you don't talk, the kid is more frightened and doesn't understand what's going on. So you really have to say, if there's a new treatment, and you have to say, we're changing the treatment because ABC, doesn't really matter, but we really trust the next treatment. We think it's going to be very good. I might be like this and like that. Whatever, we'll wait and see. So we're very open. That's the way we are.
Right. I'm wondering, like, in day-to-day life, sometimes it's hard to remember this. Hashem, like, the kids could be screaming, they could be fighting, they could be kvetching, there's so many errands to do, Yom Tov is coming, it could be overwhelming, there is a certain amount of anxiety, even when life is not a crisis.
Right.
So in your experience, what are, some ways that as women we could really get into that bitachon mode, into that mode of like, giving it over to Hashem and being there for our children?
So what I think is change the perspective, the way you look at life. Like I say, like a bird, fly above and just look at things a little different. What happens when a bird is on the ground, he's not uncomfortable, he flies a little bit and he looks at things are different. So that's something that we try to do. And it doesn't change the actual situation, but it just, you look at it, you lift yourself up, and you don't go straight into a wall, fly into a wall, which is all the things you have to do with anxiety. So don't. So you have to uplift yourself in a way.
Higher, flying higher, right. Like a bird. I love that. Like what would you see if you were looking from above? Remove yourself from the situation, right. Almost like watch yourself as if you're an observer of your own self. Right. Watch a video of yourself.
And we all know the Aibishter has the bigger. We always say he has a bigger plan. So we don't know the whole big plan. We don't understand the plan. But if we don't bump into the reality and go straight towards it and just uplift ourselves, it's easier for us to look at our life.
Right. As we're talking about just perspective and being a bird and flying and just a perspective as we're mothers and dealing with our day-to-day life, I'm curious if your experience as a midwife, gives you a certain perspective and experience. What did you learn from being a midwife that really, would be helpful for all mothers to hear?
The main part for me, being a midwife, is helping the woman find her inner strength, because each person has, each one of us has chelek eloka, and that chelek eloka, if we connect to it, we could do everything. Right? So part of being in labor is slowly you don't care about the surrounding, you get closer to yourself, truer to yourself, and you get nekudat hachibur, to the
point of connection
with yourself, which is the Aibishter. And from that point, you deliver a baby. From that point, you could do everything. And I think a very big part of what I am doing, my journey, is connecting to myself and finding my way to connect with the Aibishter. Because, the Aibishter wants something else from each and one of us. He made us different for a reason. Because each one of us is special in our own way, and we have to connect to ourselves to understand that way. And when you connect to yourself, you find the answers that you need for the connection. A lot of times, people, the connection with the Aibishter a lot of times is like, ten v'kach, you'll give me, I'll get back.
ATM machine.
Yeah. And it's even like in the Torah, it says like, kabel et avicha leman yarichun yamecha, tracht gut, vo sein gut. It's like, you do, you get. You do, you get. It's a lot of, right?
Oh, not so much ATM machine, as much as like this like balance of like checks, like if I do this, then this.
Then I'll get this.
Right, like I'm keeping score, like a scoreboard.
Right. And we grow up, when we raise our children, we also do that, and teachers also do that in class, right? You'll act this way, you'll succeed in your test. That's the way life is. And then what happens when it doesn't work? Then you have to find your connection, your way to connect with God. And in a way, that's what I'm doing. That's my journey. Because, tracht gut, wenn weiter, it's like, for me, it was like almost a promise. And I'm a very positive person. And when I was diagnosed for the second time, like a few people that were also sick were telling me, oh, that's my biggest fear. Then, and I was like, I didn't even think about it. It wasn't even a fear, because I was like, why would Aibishter want that from me? Mm. I did my whatever he wanted at the first round, right? and then it's like something broke in me. I got to like a breaking point, like I was positive. So how did this happen? And what happens is that my relationship with the Aibishter became different. It's not about I'll do A, you'll give me B. It's different. It's Aibishter, I'm in your hands. I'll do my best. I'll be happy. I'll see the light in my life. And I don't know what's going to be my future. Because it's not in my hands. And do I want people to say Tehillim for me? Do I want to get you well? Yes, of course. But it's not in my hands. And I know it's not in my hands. And once you understand that is not in your hands, you create a different relationship with the Aibishter.
It's not dependent on something.
It's not dependent. It's the Aibishter, I am yours. Where are we going next? Where are you taking me? Because I'm going to come with a smile.
Wow. I'm going to come with a smile. It's interesting because people always talk about like getting in touch with yourself and getting in touch with yourself. And you're saying getting in touch with yourself means getting in touch with Hashem. It's one and the same. We're not separate. We're not like,
because what's our inside? Our inside is the Aibishter. It's Chedek Eloka. Tanya says that. Right. That's our real inside. Is the Aibishter.
And that can give us the strength to tackle any challenge.
Exactly, because the strength is within us. Because the Aibishter is in us.
So interesting, because really, birth is a good mashal for a lot of challenges in life.
Yeah. And
the ability to, for a woman to access her strength, it's a beautiful mashal for whenever Hashem wants us to grow. We go through these like labor pains,
right?
And really, we have that strength inside of us.
Right. So I think because I'm a little isolated from the world, I get very heavy treatments, and it makes me like a little whatever. And so I have these conversations with in my head, and that's where I found my connection. Wow. And that is where I find my strength.
Right, because the tape in your head is going all day. Like, what's it saying? What's the tape? Right. Because sometimes, we don't even realize what that tape in our head is saying. It could have negative thoughts so easily.
It's usually what it's going to be tomorrow, next week. And I got to a stage that I don't literally know what's going to be tomorrow. So instead of thinking about tomorrow, be present in your life. Make your life matter. Make this matter. One of the days my daughter asked me, why do I sleep with a smile? Because I lay on the couch. I'd rather be on the couch and not in bed, even though I'm not feeling well. And I'm always with a smile. And I thought it was very cute that she asked that. And I was like, because I'm happy to exist. I'm just happy to be here and hear you fight. I'm happy that I exist in your life. That means so much.
It's interesting that you commented that you're happy to hear them fight. It's almost like when they're fighting, that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
It's healthy.
Exactly. One of my daughters, she gets upset at me a lot, and she blames me for the whole move, and it's so hard and difficult, and it's really, she's right. She's right. And at the beginning, I got a little offended. I'm like, I'm just trying to stay alive for you. But when I thought about it more, I was like, that is so beautiful that she feels secure enough to tell me, Mommy, it's your fault. Because there was a stage that I wasn't doing well, and all she wanted to do was give me a drink of water. And now that she is yelling at me, that means I'm so much better. And that I gave her the opportunity to express that. We have to let them express that.
Right, and also when things feel upside down and crazy and chaotic, it's a sign of it being functional chaos.
Right.
It's normal. Everyone thinks that only by then. If you only knew, but really, that's part of life where kids they fight, they learn to get along, they learn to how to communicate respectfully, and it's so important. That's really, as I'm thinking about it, that's really part of that bird's eye view of stepping back and being like, Baruch Hashem.
Right.
Baruch Hashem.
Instead of getting insulted that she's yelling at me, it's like, isn't that amazing? I'm such a good place that she could feel secure, that she could let out some of her anger.
Even though it's not your fault.
It's really not. Aibishter,
it's on yours. One thing I'm thinking about is you left everyone behind in Israel, and your family and friends, and I'm sure it's so hard for them. I'm wondering if you could just share with all the mothers or anyone who's watching, any advice or ideas of the best way to interact or show that they, if someone's going through a hard time, what do you appreciate most about people reaching out or whatever?
First of all, I'm very not judgmental, so I appreciate everything, and that's me. I know some people, this bothers them or that bothers them, but I just really think it's nice to let the person know that you're thinking about them. And some people say they want more help or less help. For me, it's most of them. I have here 2 brothers and a sister-in-law and cousins and aunts and uncles. I do have family, but some of my close families are not here, and it's just a phone call. For me, is nice, and just being there. It's very hard for me to answer this. I think I have a group of friends with cancer, and they complain a lot about what people do and what people say. So I feel like it's almost not fear, that because I'm so.
That's a beautiful answer. You don't have to worry. So what? So they have something to say. I didn't ask them. I asked you.
Right. So I'm not judgmental and anything for me. Just the thought that people are thinking, and once in a while say, "How are you doing?" and I say, "Great," always. my sister will ask, I'm always better. So she asked me, what are you better for?
Doing better.
Doing better. How are you? I'm much better.
Much better.
Better than what? Oh, couldn't figure out that one, but I know it's better than something. Yeah.
You know, I see how much fun we're having here, and I like feel a little bit like this is the way you roll. Like this is the way
way I cope, and yeah, it is a choice at the end of the day, but I really believe it's the better choice. When I was diagnosed for the second time, the first time it wasn't so hard for me. Like emotionally, I was like, it's fine, it's good, we'll go through it. I'm a nurse, I didn't get nervous. I'm like, everything's gonna be okay. We'll just have to do ABC, and I'm very positive, so it wasn't such a big deal. The second time, I literally broke. Like it was very hard for me, and I remember at the beginning, I told my sister-in-law, that is very close to me and helps me a lot, that this time, I can't be the one
to encourage everybody.
Yeah, I can't be the one encouraging everybody, because that's the way I was the first round. I was like, this time it's not gonna happen. I just don't have enough energy for that. And I was depressed a little bit for like a few days. And then I realized that it's not only that it affects me in a bad way, it's also the way I act. I'm a mirror to everyone else. So that's what that reflects back to me. Because when I'm depressed, all my siblings and friends are depressed. And then it reflects back to me. And when I'm happy, everyone's happy.
I feel your influence on me even.
So, sometimes when things are not great, so my sisters like call me and then they're like, thank you so much. You encouraged me so much. I'm like, I know. It's really funny in a way, but I feel that it reflects back to me. It's not only that I'm encouraging them for themselves, I'm doing it also for myself. Because I don't need the people around me falling apart.
Right.
I need them strong for me.
If you need them strong, then...
I need them strong for me. So I have to be strong for them. It's a very weird relationship.
How we're connected. We're really connected to each other.
And we think that we could only lean on someone, but our behavior reflects from them. It reflects back on us.
Right.
So if we don't choose to be happy, it will come back to us from our surrounding also.
Wow. I'm thinking about what you said before about how now Hashem has a different mission for you. Could you expand on that a little bit? And also, how does this concept of mission tie into happiness for everybody, no matter what they're going through?
Right. So I went through a stage of really not understanding what the Aibishter wanted, because I was a midwife, I was doing good. And to be a midwife is a very special thing, So I was like, why don't you want me to be a midwife? What happened with that?
Right.
What's the reason? And I think we all need a purpose in life. And sometimes I feel at the end of the day, I'm only trying to be alive. I'm only trying to live another day. And that can't be only that. So, part of connecting inside to yourself is finding maybe your mission or making a mission. Because we don't really know what the Aibishter wants from us. We don't know. I don't know, at least. I really don't know. But I'm sure there's a purpose, and I'm sure there's a way that I could get a better feeling about my life.
So what do you tell yourself now? What's your mission?
So for me, first of all, the main thing is just to raise my kids. My kids are still young, even though they're teenagers, but they need a mother. And
that's a full mission.
That's a full mission. And then, if that's my mission, I should do it with a smile. Mm-hmm. That's the thing.
That's the connection. This is my mission.
This is basically the only thing left. So do it with a smile. Do it in a way that it matters.
And from there, it really extends to anything in life.
Right.
Wherever Hashem is putting you, that's an indicator of your mission. And if you're ready to do it, you may as well do it with a smile.
Exactly, because you have no control of anything else. You have only control of your behavior and the way you're gonna do what you're gonna do about the situation. Like what the Aibishter gave you, he gave you. That's your reality. So you could do it two ways: with a smile and without a smile. What do you think is a better way? It's that simple, isn't it?
Yeah. Wow. We've had such an insightful conversation. I feel like it's been insightful for me personally. Is there anything else you want to share with us, on this Mother's podcast about, from your experience, things you've learned with chinuch and parenting and raising our children?
Okay, so I think about parenting a lot because that's my main mission, basically. And one of the things that I say to myself is that the same way that we are different, we always have to remember that our kids are different than us. And they have to connect to Aibishter in their way. We could through our behavior, teach them what we're thinking or how we want them to behave, but we always have to remember that they have to go through their journey and to connect to themselves, because they have their special connection.
Each one has their own.
Each one is so individual. It's like sometimes there's a big family. We're not supposed to be the same. We're not supposed to end up the same, because each one of us is so different and so unique and supposed to have such a special relationship with the Aibishter that we have to remember that and not want them to be like us.
And not compare.
Not them to us and not them to their siblings.
Probably a lot of the jealousy or the issues or the challenges or not feeling good enough really all comes from comparing. Looking out and being like, how come I'm not able to do what she does, or even within ourselves.
Right.
So it's accepting it and understanding it in ourselves and for our children.
Right.
That Hashem custom makes our blessings, our challenges, our life, our journey.
And He wants something from each of one of us, and He wants the connection. He wants us to connect into ourselves and find it. That's what I feel.
Connect to ourselves and find it. Beautiful, beautiful. I feel like I'm going to have to watch this on replay. So much insight and wisdom, and I hear your voice just saying, you may as well do it with a smile if you're already doing it. So, it's definitely relevant any month of the year. So much going on. So thank you, Chaya, for joining us today. And thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share the Optimizing Mother podcast.